You are listening to Zen and the Art of Triathlon.
Well, hey there, all you triathlon freaks and geeks, and welcome to another great episode of Zen and the Art of Triathlon, the podcast where we go long on endurance and learn a lot about ourselves along the way. We've got a great episode for you today. I just left the bike shop loading up on fuel and grip tape. And what else did I get? Where did it go? It's behind me. I'll grab it here in a second. And some other stuff to get ready for a 100-mile bike race that is coming up. And really excited about it. Training's starting to pick up, having to back off the running just a little bit, keep up the swimming, because that's good for your biking legs and just good overall endurance. And I've had a little bit of a cool revelation with an add-on to my bike that might be something that you want to check out too. Let me see, what else did I get here? I got grip tape. Oh, latex tubes. That was the other thing. So before I get to that, let's see. The rest of the show, after we cover this first bit, we talk about, I take you with me while I train and I go around town acting like an endurance idiot, doing all kinds of stuff. But I talk about the Garmin Varia. That's that radar that goes on the back of your bike. I got one of those. Weak calves, Airpods, running in traffic mode. For some reason, I talk about the Ford F-150 enough to write down a note that I talked about it. And TPU and how they make running shoe soles out of that. Do Zen to help others, not just yourself. I describe some crazy bike intervals. It's a workout that you can do, although I heavily recommend not doing it because the week starting immediately after I recorded that part, I have had trouble having good workouts because I think it blew me out pretty bad. So it's taken me a long time to recover from that. And I'll talk about that in a minute, about what I did to undo that. And the secret to endurance is ... how to repair sewing, like if you need to stitch something with dental floss. I do that. How to record your weight properly for weight loss. And also you need a reason to lose weight. You can try all you want, but you actually need a reason. And also epic mountain biking and camping at Colorado Bend State Park. We had a great time, so I talk a lot about that. And the Zen flow of a perfectly challenging mountain bike course. How about that? All that cool stuff. That's all coming up here in a second. The add-on that I put on my bike that seems to have completely healed my calf, because I guess I was rolling my foot out and then clenching my calf to keep it rolled in or something. I don't know what I was doing. But you can buy these things called pedal extenders. I was watching a show and they were going over a pro bike, maybe the Tour Down Under, and they noted that he had pedal extenders. So there are these things that I think mine are half a centimeter, I think, and you screw them into your pedals, and then it basically lengthens the axle of your pedal so your feet stick out just a little bit further. And boom, my biking on my tri-bike just started to feel way, way better. And it's not consistent across all your bikes. You have a different width between pedals. And I noticed on my mountain bike, I don't seem to have problems with my mountain bike making my leg hurt. And the pedals are pretty far apart. Plus I ride with flat pedals, so I get my foot way out there and I can turn my foot out. And actually I noticed it kind of while running too, that I needed to point my toes out a little bit more, and I just don't have the clearance to do that unless I add some pedal extenders. They're really inexpensive. I bought ones that I think they're stainless steel, so they won't rust too much when they get sweat all over them, and I'm really, really enjoying them. So you can check that out. And latex tubes. If you're really serious about being fast and it really matters to you, then one of the cheapest upgrades is latex tubes. So your inner tubes on your road bike. Someday we're all going to be probably on tubeless, and this won't be such a big deal. But regular inner tubes, black inner tubes that you're so used to, are made out of butyl, and they're kind of stiff in a weird way. You don't really think so, but they are. And you can tell when you compare them versus latex tubes. Latex tubes are real supple, and they're kind of like condoms. And they are soft, and they give really easily. And so when you're rolling along, the inner tube inside your tire doesn't fight back against going forward. If it's latex, it rolls over things a lot more easily. And I think it's something like 10 watts per tube per wheel. So you can end up with like 20 watts worth of speed gain, which is a lot. That could be close to half a mile per hour or something like that. And you can kind of feel it whenever you're riding along, that the road just feels a little bit more supple. And the downside is, A, they're really expensive. They're $20 per tube. And B, they leak air. Latex doesn't hold air as well as butyl does. So every ride you need to pump them back up to the right pressure. They lose like 20, 30 PSI, maybe 20 overnight. Enough where it's not good. And another upside, though, is they're a little bit more flat resistant than regular tubes, because they do give. It's a little bit harder to poke them hard enough, because they don't fight back, to poke them hard enough to cause them to puncture. So a lot of people say, they haven't had a flat since they put them in. I wouldn't believe in that. And I've had plenty of flats with them, but they are better. Anyway, there's all that. Okay. And then also grip tape. I needed new grip tape on my bike. I've got specialized S-wrap, and the guy let me feel it on a bike he was putting it on, and oh my God, this stuff is really good. When we do triathlon in the heat down here in Texas, it's so hot that everything just gets coated in sweat. And if you put your hands on the grip tape, and if there's any chance at all that it's going to get slick or slip off, you got problems. And this S-wrap is really great. I like it a lot. Specialized, got that at Bike Barn. And then I'm trying out something with my stomach gets upset and gassy and painful working out, and I'm experimenting with no fructose, if at all possible. So I've got some Heed, which is maltodextrin pretty much, and then Hammer Gel, which doesn't have extra fructose. It's got fructose, it's got grape syrup or grape juice, but no added fructose. The really bad stuff would be high fructose corn syrup, right? So it's fructose on top of fructose, and fructose on top of sucrose. And I think I've had plenty of success with Hammer Gel. But yeah, so some people are sensitive to different types of sugars, and fructose can make some people's stomach upset. So I'm gonna work on experimenting without using fructose. Cool. Oh, and then the last thing I want to mention before we get into the training log and the rest of the show is I was doing really hard intervals, and I talk about them later in the show. I guess I got bored and I was trying something different, but then starting to look back, like afterwards, I started to have a lot of trouble working out, where I just, no energy, and I think I did too much. And that interval workout, I'll save, till when it shows up at the end of the show. But it's intense, hard intervals, and most people should be able to do them just fine. But it reminded me to mention that, along with the secret to endurance, is long, slow intervals are the key. So 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes of lower RPM. It doesn't have to be super low, but low enough but you're just trudging along. But you don't really need to try all that hard. You just need to be patient. So it's it's a hill climb that's so long that you have to give up from the beginning. Just give up. And you're going to be putting out higher torque the whole way up that hill anyway. There's no rush. So you are accelerating the amount of work and wear and tear on your muscles. So you are doing it. It's like doing an interval. But the thing is that it's slower cadence. And what happens with lower cadence is you're not working your aerobic system so much. You're working on the muscle instead and tearing it down to build it back up. And it's that slow twitch muscle that makes you a good endurance athlete instead of fast twitch. So that's one thing. And then I heard something recently. Oh yeah, there's a really good podcast I want people to check out if they haven't already. Trainer Road makes a fantastic podcast about different training, this, that, and the other. And I was listening to an episode, and they said something really interesting, that low speed intervals, like so heavy body movements, they generate way more testosterone. I don't know, let's say it's like 4 times, 5 times as much testosterone as the as high speed intervals. And that testosterone helps you build muscle, makes you stronger. And a really good trick to getting this done is if you don't have any hills near you. So I live in rolling prairie. The longest hill here is 2 minutes, 3 minutes. That's it. It's not enough. Is a bike trainer or treadmill. Point it, if you're on a treadmill, it's like 6, 7, 8% grade. And maybe be careful the first time, but first few times, you don't want to blow anything out. But this is if you're training for running something. Build on the time, a few minutes here and there. And then on Zwift there's mountains in Zwift. There's Alpe d'Huez in Zwift, which is like an hour-long mountain. Duh, it's not a hill. And they have another mountain with a ski resort kind of thing at the top of it. They have a volcano. That's a long climb. And what I've learned to do is when I first start riding is turn the resistance on the trainer to about nothing. So you're just pedaling around, warming up. It doesn't really take much. You don't even notice any hills whatsoever until you get nice and warmed up. And then, this is on Watopia. And then at some point while biking around Watopia, you'll be like, okay, I'm ready to start doing some of these intervals. You need to wait until you're ready to do this, right? And not when some plan is telling you to do it, not when the course that Watopia has laid out in front of you is ready for you to do it. You need to pedal and ride around until you're all nice and warmed up, however long that takes. And then you're starting to get bored. So then what you do is pedal your ass on over to a big slope. So Epic Calm, there's a whole bunch of them around there. Anyway, Alpe d'Huez. And then you go and hit the menu button and then change your resistance. This is if you have a smart trainer. Change your resistance on the trainer to be like 50%. Up it to being add some resistance. So it's more realistic. Or if you've got a dumb trainer, then a regular trainer, then just, now start adding on the gearing and stuff like that. And then point that bike uphill and then climb at like 70 RPM and don't rush it. And do it in the aero position, by the way. You alternate, do some sitting up and whatever. But get down in the aero position and just trudge along. And then tell yourself, you get to the top whenever you get to the top. That's not the point of getting to the top faster or people blowing by you, stuff like that. In fact, the more people blow by you, the better, because you're training yourself to let people go by and let them pop and then fail. You are going to take 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 minutes to climb to the top of this thing, and that's fine. And man, you once you learn how to settle into a groove, you start learning the pacing for big climbs that end up building tons of muscle, and the right muscle because you're doing it on the bike. And again, like 70 RPM, something like that. Just nice. You can learn how to do it. And then once you do it once, it is so addictive. It's just fantastic. And then you're learning to be smooth and pedal nicely. And yeah, that is the right kind of intervals to be doing for long distance stuff. Not the crazy stuff I talk about towards the end. Unless you're doing crit racing, and you got to do sprints. Then the stuff I talk about at the end, or in the middle of the training log, where I'm doing like a minute of hard, and then switching positions in a minute of that, and switching positions in a minute of that. Yeah, that ended up being a little bit too much. So watch out for that. Later on in the show. Okay, that is it. Let's go ahead and get started with the rest of the podcast. Here we go.
You are entering the ZenTri training log zone.
Hi everybody, my name's Brett. I'm a triathlete.
I decided it's time I got some friends more suited to my status.
But Joe, we've been friends for years.
Hey, we all make mistakes. Come on, dudes, let's go exercise! Exercise! Yeah! I'm gonna do sit-ups till I poop myself!
Hello, welcome to a new training log. Start date January 29th. Just finished an hour run outside, 47 degrees, nice and cool. Borderline needing gloves. And let's get started with gear I'm using. The Olight. I wonder if it has two O's. O-O-L-I-G-H-T. Anyway, Perun, Perun. It's completely waterproof. It's very tiny. It has a 90-degree angle on it and a clip. And it's rechargeable and it's submersible under like a meter or two of water. So the sweat won't ingress into it, which basically stuff has to be waterproof for it to be good for outdoor running in the heat. It's not hot today, but if I want to use this thing, every time I use a running light, after a while it gets sweat in it, or water from running in the rain. So this one's completely waterproof. It is fantastic. I clip it to my running belt and down low, so it throws shadows so I can see if I'm tripping over anything. And I like it. And then also, I noticed starting to run that I was getting really tight calves at the first part of the run. It was just taking like 30 minutes for it to go away. And I was having to walk. Turns out, I did a little bit of research and Googling. My calves were weak. Basically, I was pampering my calves so much, running on flat ground, the treadmill, which I needed to do. I'm not regretting this. That my calves were getting weak because I wasn't doing any, uphill. I wasn't working my calves very much. I guess my upper leg was overpowering my lower leg, and they were reacting by swelling up and getting really tight. And the cure is to do calf raises to strengthen them. And all it took was just a few sets over a few days, and bam, I was able to run without having to stop and walk to let my calves loosen up again. It's really great. So we got that. We've got the Garmin Varia rear radar coming in today. And also I've got a camera system on the house. Today's going to be a tech episode. Oh, I want to talk about insoles too. All right, that's it. I'm going to go inside, get ready for work. Be right back. All right, I've gotten ready for work. Getting in the ZenTri mobile studios. Oh, I'm really late for work. let me turn off the Airpods headphones. Oh, I've got something to talk about with that. So I've been running with the Airpods Pro that have noise canceling, and I have discovered a hidden feature. Not exactly, but a cool thing. Unintended feature. Undocumented feature. That's what we say in IT when something's screwed up. We say, oh, that's an undocumented feature. But this is actually pretty cool. Running along, and if I don't want the noise of traffic, which is like really annoying, I can turn on the noise cancellation, and it just softens the outside world really nicely. Blocks a lot of it out, so I can just be by myself. And the other thing is, that's dangerous, because I was telling friends, like, I tried it and then kind of forgot about it a couple weeks ago or whatever when I was running outside, and then the next thing I knew, I had a car up behind me. Like, I was running down the middle of a street because there was no sidewalks and it was a quiet street, but there was a car right behind me and I never heard it, and it happened twice, and I was like, oh my gosh. It was like waiting for me to move to get out of the road. It was being polite. And I thought, this is a problem. Anyway, putting it in the audio pass-through mode, where it actually enhances the sound around you, so that you can hear things around you, works so well that, I haven't listened to it with music. Like, it's like the wall of sound music that some people like to do, like say Led Zeppelin, or Pink Floyd as an example, just something monstrous. But as far as like other sounds, music and talking and stuff, I feel actually more secure with these in than I did with the AirPods that had the old AirPods that don't seal off your ears at all. They're just the crappy, hard plastic casing that kind of fit in your ears, sort of. And a lot of people don't like them because there's not different sizes or anything. Well, if there's a car coming up behind me, it actually puts that sound into my ears. And that's really cool. The downside of AirPod Pros so far that I've found is that if you take them out and just leave them laying around, my opinion is that they burn through battery because they're doing sound deadening and audio pass-through, even though they're not in your ears. There's a setting on your phone where you can turn all that off, but then you'd have to do that. And if you're taking them out of your ears and setting them down, well, it's because you don't have a lot of time. You got better things to do with your life right now. So you're not going to go then open up your phone and then turn that on. Anyway, that's how I'm enjoying the AirPods Pro. I've been looking at getting a new car. I love the size of the Nissan Xterra because it's easy to park and get around in parking lots and stuff. It's very much like a European size SUV, but it's got truck-like ride. It's got a ton of power and stuff. But this might end up being Kai's car because it's approaching 100,000 miles. But it's got anti-skid, like a traction control kind of stuff, stability control at least. And it's cool, and it's tough, and it's reliable. So it might end up being his. So we're looking at getting me a new car, and been looking. I'd really like to get. I've had a full-size pickup before, and the only thing I don't like about them there's two things: is gas guzzling and getting around parking lots. And Nissan Xterra is kind of like a Jeep. It's like a four-door Jeep. And to move back to a full-size pickup is a lot of commitment, even here in Texas. You know, you still got to get in and out of parking lots, crowded. But my search for pickups has been really interesting. The Nissan Titan has just been redone. It doesn't have any really like advanced tech that the other vehicles don't have, but the Ford, like, it's got one engine. It's a V8, and it's a big V8. It sounds awesome, but that's not, you know, tech related at all. The Fords have you can get probably its best engine for the size vehicle is a 3.5 liter V6 with twin turbos, and it's the same engine, I think, that's in the Ford Raptor, but then it's been geared down. But that's kind of cool to say you got the same engine as Ford Raptor, but it's not all hyped up. There's a school bus. And then the Dodge Ram has V6, and they might have a V8 with this, but they have a V6 that has something called e-torque. So it's got a small battery and an alternator motor and a belt hooked up to the drivetrain. I think it's hooked up to the engine somehow, not the drive shaft, but that provides an extra like 50 to 70 to 80 or something like that foot-pounds of torque for off the line. So it's like, that's really nice, man. And you know, it's got regen in it, so it's like a very, very mild hybrid, but right where it matters, off the line. As we cyclists know, it's getting going that's the hard part. Once you get up to speed, you don't need it quite so much. The Ford has also aluminum alloy, a lot of body panels and truck bed, and so it's lighter. So as far as tech goes, I guess the Ford is actually really cool as the neatest stuff. And then naturally aspirated engines, you know, the ones that don't have turbos or torque or, you know, batteries, they don't perform as well at high altitude. So if you're a Colorado dweller, your 0 to 60 times are going to be significantly less with an engine that doesn't have turbos. But turbos ram air into it and help out with the power quite a bit, and it's not affected by altitude anywhere near as much. I just passed a cop who's texting on his phone, but not in a cop car. He's just in a cop uniform. And let's talk a little bit about, well, with the trucks, you know, getting mountain bikes in the back, and then with a crew cab kind of situation, then you got all kinds of room inside. And I struggle in smaller cars because I don't have enough elbow room. But anyway, the Superfeet insoles. Okay, so I love Ultra 1.0 and 1.5 Escalantes. They have the TPU sole, and they have zero drop, so they're like really low to the ground, but very cushy. And they are amazing. The 2.0s, the latest model, aren't quite as soft and luxurious, but in the ones in the 1.5s, you kind of slide around it a little bit. So in the 2.0s, they shouldn't have stiffened up the soles. They stiffened up the soles and stiffened up the uppers so that you don't, like, when you turn, they say it feels like the shoes are turning, but your body is continuing straight because they have too much stretch and too loose up top and in the uppers. But they have, you can tell if a shoe has arch support, for example. One way is to fold the shoe over double, you know, like bend it backwards, the toes up. And however easily it does that is going to show you how much foot support it has. In a way, it doesn't show like the arch, but it just shows just in general foot support. And these things like fold over almost like bedroom slippers. They're like pretty ridiculous. But that's part of what you really feel the ground. And because the sole is TPU, it's very resilient and very, it's just amazing. But so I came from a barefoot running background and absolutely love these because they're so, TPU allows them to be really cushy, but also very thin. And that allows you to be closer to the ground and then get lots of comfort, but also feel like you're kind of like you're running barefoot. And imagine those 5 fingers, those vibrant 5 fingers, but with like a thicker, softer sole underneath. That's kind of what they're like. Well, in my search for arch support stuff, I came across Superfeet. I think I asked somewhere and somebody told me. Superfeet is a brand of arch supports. You get them on Amazon. And I was recommended the orange ones. They come in different colors to symbolize different levels of support and different types of sports and stuff like that. And the orange ones are really, they're for cycling, but they're really great for running too. And yesterday I ran in my ultras without them, and I felt like by the end of the run my arches were kind of like, oh, and that's been a lot of work keeping me stable. And then today I ran in them with the Superfeet, and it was completely different, like very much more stable and controlled, and a better, it's not as squishy and soft and all over the place, but my arches never got tired by the end of an hour run. So I'm suggesting that you check them out. If you're looking for a good arch support insole, check out Superfeet. They are great. And I've ended up buying 2 pair, maybe 3 pair. They're in my bike shoes and in my running shoes. Okay, that's it. I got to go into W to the ERK. Be right back. Hopefully my Garmin Varia rear radar will show up sometime today. I'll be able to check it out. All right, out. Okay, it's another beautiful morning, leaving the pool. Not quite as cold as yesterday. I was listening to a Dharma Zen podcast. Hold on, I need to open up the car. That's not what they talked about. That's not what it was called. Although that is kind of fun. And there was a moment in there that was really good that I wanted to share with you. This old Zen master type lady giving a talk, and she said, we get into Zen and Buddhism for self-improvement, but that's not really the end goal. Truly, there we go, there's my keys. The point isn't to just help yourself, but it's to help the world. So you don't be Zen necessarily all for yourself. It's kind of selfish, and then actually it gets under the core of things. Quit thinking about yourself. But if you think before you act, then you kind of emit that pattern, that habit. People see that, and then they start doing it too. And then more and more people can transcend out of this world of unnecessary violence and war and excess and pollution of the planet and stuff like that. It was really nice. It is the Upaya podcast, Upaya, and it was published on January 20th, if you want to listen to it. About towards the middle where she said that. All right, I got some triathlon training tips for you. One, I'm going camping this weekend, and I will forget to charge my watch before I go. So one way that you learn to do lots of stuff in triathlon is to not forget your gear. Put your gear in a place where you can't avoid it, and then you'll remember it. So, put your running shoes in front of your door if you don't want to forget your running shoes because you forgot them the last time you went to work and you wanted to run at lunch. Things like that. Put your keys by the door. You got to put it in your way. I got something in my throat. Makes me sound cool though, I'm all raspy. And I need to charge my Garmin watch before we go. And one trick I do sometimes, I don't always do it because I forget, is I put it on the wrong wrist. I'm right-handed. I put it on my left. Usually I wear my Garmin on my left wrist. And this morning I put it on my right. And that because I'm leaving like right after work. I need to charge it while I'm at work. I need to plug it in to a USB port and get it charged. And I will remember the first time I sit down and I'm at my desk and then I look at my watch to see what time it is or whatever, I'll be like, why is my watch on the right wrist? That's weird. And then I'll be like, oh yeah, because I was going to charge it. And then I'll charge it. It's pretty cool. I did get the Garmin Varia in last night. I played around with it a little bit when I was getting on Zwift. And of course it's not useful in Zwift. But I was turning on my bike computer. I just wanted to make sure that my bike computer would even recognize it. And it did. You pair it. And one of the types of things you can pair to your Garmin, I have a 520 regular, is radar, is what it says. And I paired it, and it said, found it. And man, the light is bright. So it looks like that's going to happen. For fun, I paired it to my Garmin Fenix watch, and it did that as well. It showed little, as Kai came up, as he ran at me in the kitchen, that's how we did it. It beeped and it picked up a dot on my watch on the right hand side on the edge, and it's a circular watch. It was kind of cool. Which reminds me, I may do it. I may pair them both. Pair it to both things. It's Ant, so you can pair it to lots of things at the same time. While bike riding outdoors. Because it beeped and I think it vibrated, and that is handy because it shakes your wrist. That's a really great way to wake up too. An alarm clock is to get a watch that not just beeps but beeps and vibrates, and it's like somebody shaking your wrist a little bit, like, hey, wake up. Okay, another training tip. Studies show that if you train and go anaerobic, like breathing really, really hard and huffing and puffing for air, you're training your body to use high amounts of oxygen to get and glucose to get the job done. And it's actually you're detraining, your body's converting away. It's not like it's not doing it, it's like damaging apparently your body's ability to create energy from fat and less air. Whoa. You're not going around me, dude. I'm wiggling in the lane to signal to you to slow down. Person behind me thought they were going to go around me. There we go. I think I got that thing on my throat. Okay, so meanwhile, I'm going to start saying that instead of so. I think that's kind of fun. Meanwhile, so I'm swimming along, and as I was doing an hour nonstop, although I've changed that a little bit, every 10 to break it up so it's not as boring, and also because I haven't been doing nonstop for a while to kind of like ease into it, stopping every 10 minutes, I swear for like 5 seconds about, and I don't even stop my watch. I hit the lap button so it records a lap so I can look at it later, what that 10 minutes was like what was my pace and stuff like that. Otherwise, it's all just lumped into one big thing. And I can't analyze it later as well as 10 6-minute chunks and see like what chunk, did I start fading. at whatever. I have my green tea on ice with a little stevia in it to make it sweet without any calories. Oh, and I was doing the cornstarch. Again, I did cornstarch last night and liked it on my bike ride. And cornstarch this morning before I went to go swim. About 100 calories of it. And had a nice strong swim. But as the swim is wearing on, you know, getting more tired, arms are getting tired. Towards the very end, pulling pretty hard. I started on purpose pulling really hard, but making my hands really big so they catch a lot of water, making sure I'm making big scoops and really pulling hard, slow turnover, hard pulls. Not fast, not high RPM, very low RPM, kind of like being in a bike in a big gear, really big gear. And making sure that I was working the muscles hard, but not requiring a lot of air, you know, not like panting and dying for oxygen because I wasn't sprinting. It's more like I was towing an anchor behind me. And you could just feel like this deep burn going on in the muscles, but it didn't jack up my need for breathing a lot. So I knew that I was training the right system. And hey, there's a Kia Telluride. Ooh, that's a nice one. Black with silver trim. The key to endurance is to train your slow twitch muscles to be incredibly strong and then never give out. And that's kind of how you do it, is you get your muscles kind of tired a little bit and then you stay at low cadence and then work them really, really hard. All right. For long periods of time. And you can do it because you're not dying for oxygen. You can, you'll find that the next time you go bike, swim, run, a good way to do it in swimming is hand paddles. Pull hard, low turnover rate, but hard pull. What I wanted to mention was, if you wanted to help support the show, if you like these coaching tips and you think they're making you faster, there is a great way to support Zen Yard Triathlon. Is go to zentriathlon.com and there's a PayPal link on the left-hand side, and you can donate one time or set up a recurring donation through PayPal. It's pretty cool. All right, that was my commercial. It helps support the show. Helps buy Garmin Varias and Phoenixes and whatever kinds of gear, so that we can test it on the show and tell you if it works or not and how to use it better. Okay, let's see. I'm going camping this weekend, and I'm hiring a new employee that I've known forever. And he's a runner, like a good runner, and been running a lot. And he's a dad, and he's got 2 little girls. And the crazy thing, the wild thing, is he's a lot like me. So I don't know. We're not sharing the same office. He's working in the office next to me. But can 2 people who are a lot alike, can 2 people who are kind of loud and confident and athletic, you know, like the city manager, what is his name that plays, I think he's the city manager in Parks and Rec, the extremely good-looking guy. So we're not good-looking like that. I don't think anybody is. But just, you know, forward-looking, progressive personalities. And funny. We like being funny. So I don't know if the office can handle us, but I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm going camping this weekend with the Boy Scouts, taking the troop. It's just 2 adults and then like 9-10 boys. And I'm going to try to mix in some mountain biking and trail running at Colorado Bend State Park, which is supposedly epic for mountain biking. We're going to see if we can get this done. All right, I got to go inside. Be right back. Hey, yos. I'm back. I'm on my way to the bike shop, which is, I think it's a quarter mile from the door of my office. which is awesome. When they moved to this new location, I was so excited. And to pick up derailleur hanger, maybe hangers, I don't know. But the one on my mountain bike's a little bent, and they said they bent it back, but they said it's going to go. So they had to order it. I guess because it's Orbea model. I thought they were kind of universal. But anyway, I'm going to pick those up. And I wanted to mention that I got two more cool little things. I've had to stitch up a couple of things recently. A mesh bag that has a non-mesh bottom. It's kind of solid. Got a split in the bottom of it. And then also my running belt, my Amphipod running belt, the Velcro started coming off of it. Velcro stitched to it, and it started coming off. And I was looking for a sewing kit, whatever. I had to sew the heck out of stuff this summer. My backpack was falling apart. We were backpacking across New Mexico at the Philmonts. But anyway, I was looking for a strong thread, and it crossed my mind to try dental floss. And on top of that, I wanted to share this one. I used dental floss that's a very special dental floss. When I use this dental floss, when I try to break off a piece of it, it stretches first before it breaks. It's more plasticky than it is fabricy, than it is clothy. And it's like really, really strong. And I decided to try that instead. And it is amazing. So it's made by Listerine. It's kind of expensive. Listerine dental floss. It's kind of a clearish case. It says Listerine across the front. So it tastes a little bit like Listerine when you like minty. And frosted clearish case with a kind of white with, I think the dental floss is kind of light green color. And I stitched the bottom of this backpack, and I didn't really pull on it all that much. I didn't want to. But then I stitched the Velcro back onto this hip running belt thing. And wow, man, that thing is really cool. And I'm glad I did use this stuff because the running belt is actually a stretch fabric. And so the dental floss stitching works with it as well. And then it kind of looks cool. You know, both of these other things are black and they have like this kind of light green stitching on it that I did by hand. Looks kind of neat. Looks a little ghetto, but it also looks kind of neat. It also has the color. So if you got to stitch something, sew something up, don't throw things out. Try to repair it first and stitch it. All you need is a needle and a thread or dental floss. And then the other thing is, I've started losing weight recently. We'll hope the trend continues. But what I do is I weigh myself, and then I have in ticktick.com, which is my to-do list, I have a repeating task every day to weigh myself, and it says it says basically the weight and why. So I put down what my weight is and then why I think my weight is that. Like, did I lose weight? Did I gain weight? But why, you know? I usually put in there, ate too much, and dehydrated, that'll make you lose weight and stuff. But I've noticed there's been a downward trend. And the only thing, because I've tried so much different stuff, and the only thing that I can tell that made me lose weight was I had a reason. So I wrote that in my notes. I was down like a couple pounds, 3 pounds over the past few days. And why? Because I had a reason. The reason is I've got a race coming up. I'm going to do the Gran Fondo 100. And then also, it's crossed my mind as I'm eating and stuff that to eat less because I want to be lighter. Now that I'm feeling better with foot injury and stuff, I can run more, so I want to be lighter. And yeah, I actually have a reason. If you don't have a reason in today's society with all this food, you have no no reason to eat less. And because it's a choice all the time to eat less, and that choice is tough. So you need to have like a higher purpose of sorts to make yourself choose that. You got to like think, why don't you shoot yourself in the foot with a gun, right? Well, there's a reason. It's because it's going to hurt really bad, and it's like but you know the reason, right? It's going to hurt really bad. You get blood everywhere. You might damage your foot forever. You might get arrested and all kinds of stuff. It's really dumb. So that's your reason, right? But when we eat and we just gain weight and stay overweight, we don't really, it's just happening. It's just the way, we're just accepting it as the way things are. But when you have a purpose, like why, when you're about to eat less and you're making a choice, an apple instead of that's what I've noticed is I've been eating a little bit more fruit, been eating stuff with a little bit lower calories. I've been choosing that. And I'm like, why? Because that's what actually works, I'm like, why? It's like, oh, because I want to get in better. That's the other one, is I want to get in better shape. But the injury's pretty much gone. So now I can actually like lean into it and work on getting in better shape. And to get in better shape, you gotta pay a little bit better attention to what you eat, and because it makes you feel good. And that's it. All right, I'm going into the bike shop. We're going on a trip, like I said, this weekend, and I'm gonna take the derailleur hanger with me and keep it in my saddlebag. There is videos online or packing lists. If you look, somebody's going to go for an epic bike ride, they're going to ride across America, or something like that. They pack extra derailleur hangers just in case. It's part of their kit. And I don't have time to get my bike in to get it worked on today, so I'm just going to grab the derailleur hangers. I could probably put it on myself, but it's nice to have them put it on and then adjust all the shifting all at once. But I'm going to grab the derailleur hangers to keep it in my saddlebag, and then if it finally breaks off, the bad one breaks off, then I'll have some spare ones in my saddlebag. How about that? All right, be right back. All right, are we back? Oh my gosh, I had the most awesome weekend. We went camping at Colorado Bend State Park, and this is in the most beautiful part of the Texas Hill Country. It's really rugged. It's very much like Southern California, and there's a river that meanders through it. It's clear, light green water that's limestone filtered. It's the hills are made out of limestone around there. And oh my gosh, this is the second camp out where we've taken the Boy Scouts with mountain bikes, and they love it. They know nothing about how to take care of bikes, but they're learning, which this is kind of cool. I'm teaching boys how to maintain bikes and how to adjust things and fix things and what's probably going wrong. So there's all that. And, somebody teaches them, then they'll teach their kids someday, and then that's more people on bikes. It's a multiplying effect, hopefully. Yeah, and the mountain biking out there was epic in a different way than what I expected. It was the trail that goes along the river. Oh, it's the Colorado River, and there's a big bend in the river, and that's where the campsite is. So that's why it's called Colorado Bend, not because it's in Colorado or whatever. And there's 2 Colorado rivers, by the way, in the United States. There's one that goes through Texas, and the one that goes west from Colorado to almost to California, sort of. And meanwhile, we are biking around. So I decided to take the easy trail first. It wasn't until 11 o'clock that we got breakfast all cooked, and then everybody going. A few boys that don't have bikes wanted to hike, and that's very cool. The rest of them, wanted to bike. And the river trail was rated really easy. It's this wide-ish trail at times that is pretty level, it's actually very level, and then on rare occasion, there's like gullies and creek channels that come out of the cliff faces next to the river, and those will create a big dip. And I would almost classify these as mountains. It's kind of like what we were in. It's very much like the Ozarks, that kind of, or the Smoky Mountains, kind of rugged like that, as far as terrain goes. And let's see, this state park's been around a long time, and that trail was normal. And then I went up this dirt road when the trail kind of ended after a few miles. I figured that was a good warm-up trail, do something nice and easy. And then started going up this gravel road, and there was a turn off onto one of the trails. And on the trail map, they've got just a couple very short sections of trail that are off limits for mountain biking, and everything else is you can bike on, they said. Well, it turns out that these are the classic hiking trails that Texas hill country that are just rugged, ankle twisting, brutal, sharp rock pointing, just a mess of very, very difficult tire shredding, like sidewall cutting. I think there was a mix. There was like shale and something else in there too. And it was crazy. Oh, and there's cactus off to the sides on either side too. So good luck going off the trail if you needed to. The first 10 feet going down 20 feet of the trail, I had to stop, and I was like, really? Check. And then I went about another 100 feet, and I was like checking the map, going, this says it's a biking trail, so I'm not sure really what's going on. And I eventually turned around after not very far, maybe a quarter of a mile. I don't even think it was a quarter of a mile. Turned around and said, well, this obviously is a mistake. If this is a biking trail, this has got to be the hardest biking trail they've ever made. And so anyway, I got back on the gravel road and hiked up, and that was really cool, like pretending I'm riding a gravel race and I'm riding along, having a good old time. And then, went to the top, and then it turned into a paved road after a while, and I started biking down the paved road back towards the campground, and I was getting close to an hour in, so I thought I would try another trail, because I need to be back for lunch. And I thought I'd try another trail, and got on that, and it was exactly the same. And these are completely different trails, name-wise, and parts of the park. So I biked down that, and it was maybe downhill at first, so I got up some confidence, and then and by the way, if I haven't said so, if you're new to the show, I have excellent bike handling skills. Really, really good bike handling skills. Not so much fancy tricks, but I can do tricks, and I can balance in place and do all kinds of stuff like that. I can ride rollers no hands, just to tell you like what good balance and control over the bike I can have. And I used to ride a fixie for like 50 something mile bike rides, so I know what I'm doing on a bike. I'm not terrible, but it's all about exposure and what you've done lately. You kind of forget how to do things, or if you've done anything like this before. So now, I guess because I went downhill at first, now I'm like into this trail, and the trail's going to come out pretty soon on the map, which turns out pretty soon is still a short distance, is still brutally long. And now I'm committed because I'm into this thing. It's almost because it was easier downhill, but I'm having to get off the bike and walk a lot to get around stuff, and I'm really having trouble. And then finally, after a while, I figured it out. And what you do is, I was having to do it after I did this for a long time. I had a moment of enlightenment, where I was like, oh, I need to use the brakes while applying pressure on the pedals at the same time. Like, don't do, like with a car, 1 foot on the accelerator and then lift up the foot and then do the brake, which is actually probably what you should do driving. I think maybe race cars use both pedals at the same time, race car drivers. But instead, I'm gonna get past all this. There we go. Instead, lift, don't stop pedaling. Don't stop applying pressure on the pedals as you put on the brakes. And then you have forward and backward control. And as you're going over and around things and things slide out from underneath you, you can push the bike one way or the other. Kind of. I guess you could pull it back. And the next thing I know, well, that was really hard, right? So then I get back to the campground, and this is always a good thing about learning something, is to take a break and then start over again a little while later. And I took a break, had lunch, and then around 2 o'clock, 2:30, lunch was settling, I went out and did it again. And I took the easy trail again to get kind of warmed up. And then I started taking difficult trails again. And I figured it out, and it made it awesome. And the thing, flow, is where you're perfectly capable of doing the task. You have all the right tools to do the task. Like, you're gonna build something and you have every single right tool and all the tools work, and you have the skills, and but it's challenging. So like, if I'm setting up a tent and the tent poles aren't connected, but they're all there, because that's what's going on with my tent right now, I'm very confident I know how to put up a tent, especially it's a tent that I own and I put up a lot of times. It's dark, and guys asking me, hey, do you need help setting your tent? I'm like, no, I'm actually enjoying it. I'm enjoying the challenge. It's like doing a puzzle that you know how to do, right? And it makes you feel good. It makes you feel, good about yourself, that you're smart, because you're beating something that's kind of difficult. And the Zen flow of mountain biking, once you do the Hans Ray, Danny McCaskill thing, where they apply the brakes and the pedals at the same time. There's that, plus picking a line, plus avoiding sharp rocks, which were everywhere, and plus keeping up the right momentum, all at the same time. It was like playing one of those band instruments where it's like 6 instruments strapped to a guy. He's playing the drum with his foot, and the guitar with his hand, and a harmonica, and something else is going on, maybe with his elbows or something like that. That's what it felt like, but it's working. It's making music, and it was incredible. It was so cool. I was so enthralled with how this was all playing out, and I became self-aware of this after a while. And then we got all done with the camp out, came back, and I went mountain biking on my Mega Loop. That takes me, I've been trying to break 2 hours on it, and I've broken 2 hours on it, but I want to do it faster. I applied this pedaling into turns with, braking into turns, but not stopping pedaling at the same time. And even after mountain biking, I think it was 5 hours or 4 hours, maybe, I don't know. I think it was like 3.5 hours on super rugged, hard stuff on Saturday. On Sunday, I went and broke my PR without feeling like I was even trying, because I was applying pressure on the pedals as I was going into turns and braking. And it reminds me, there's a hub that is instant engagement, which would be very similar to this. It doesn't have any slack in the pedals at all. So I need to find those when I go into W to the ERK, and I'll come back and tell you what it is. It's kind of expensive, and it's silent. If you want to Google it, it's a silent hub. So that's it. I'll be back. All right, I'm back. Meanwhile, I was thinking about this ride. And one thing I just did was I tested my air pressure when I was done. So it's right at about 30 PSI. And that's a little high, most people would think, for mountain biking nowadays. With I got tubeless tires. And, oh, we got a little of a traffic situation up here. That's a little high for tubeless tires. But also, I'm 200 pounds. And the more you weigh, you need a little bit more air pressure, or else you could pinch the rim. So that's why. And another interesting thing was I rode almost effortlessly. Like, I never really pushed hard. And that's kind of interesting. How did I go faster without pushing hard? And that just goes to show how much of mountain biking is technique, especially if you're going a really long distance. The main, or long amount of time, it was 17 something miles of mountain biking. How important technique is for anything that you do, because you can only put out so much energy, and after a while technique becomes just as important or more important than how much energy you actually put out. Just think of it like aerodynamic efficiency, or like swimming. You can put out a whole lot of energy and go nowhere. Swimming, you can drown. It's all about technique, actually. And also making a note of, your tire pressure and stuff like that. But a really cool thing that also I did was, last time I took this course, I took a wrong turn and ended up way off on another. I kept going when I should have turned around and come back, and so I ended up being late to pick up Kai from practice, and I ended up being exhausted and running out of water and everything. And I was like, I am not going to let this happen again. It was bad enough, or I wasn't going to let this happen again. Oh, and by the way, I think I mentioned it before, I've had my one time of electronic mountain bike shifting battery die. So now that'll probably never happen again. One time. And I took flagging with me. Flagging is the pink, green, yellow, whatever stuff, the ribbon type of stuff, and that you can tie around a tree to mark things. And I spent a little while on Strava looking at the map of my ride and trying to figure out, comparing rides and trying to figure out where I turned around on the one ride that made it end up being right around 2 hours, and what was the difference. Because I don't know where it happened. I just knew. All I knew was that I hadn't turned yet, and I'm late. So something was up. I missed my turn. So I figured out where it was on the map, and I accessed it. And as I passed it during my ride, the spot where I was supposed to pop out, as I passed it earlier in my ride yesterday, I stopped, took the flagging out of my pocket, took a whiz, and then flagged the tree. And I flagged 2 trees in a row of where this is, where the actual turnoff is. And then when I was sitting there looking at it at the fork in the trail where I should have gone left and I went right, I saw there's a big pile of sticks and small logs across the trail on the way I was supposed to go. And it's a tiny little exit out of the trail. I mean, it's tiny. It's a very short exit. It's a very wide path, short exit, and they had blocked it off. And I remember coming up on that and thinking, oh, well, I guess I'm supposed to go right last time when I screwed up. And I was like, yeah, you can't trust other people. Other people's, maybe they were doing a route or something like that, and they wanted to block it off for fun. Some other people that were riding out there to signal other riders that, don't turn here. But it kept me from turning there, and it screwed it all up. And I was like, that's why. So I pushed some of those logs aside, and then did the tree flagging. And then when I came back around and did it for when I came upon it later in my ride, it was very obvious that this is where I go. I turn right here because of the flagging and the polished logs that were now moved. And let me make sure I got enough room over here. An interesting thing also was all these 2-hour rides. I looked at the speed graph and all that stuff that Strava makes, and it actually includes me peeing every time. All 3 rides that I've done that are recorded on this exact route are they all have a pee break in them, and it's 2 hours, so and even though I stopped my watch, I guess Strava keeps, if you're doing a segment, it keeps calculating the time spent even if your watch isn't on, I guess, so you can't rest and then go again, and it counts. The rest doesn't count, but you're all nice and fresh. So that would give you fake results, artificially inflated results. So yeah, now I know that it took me like a minute to pee, maybe, and I've got an extra minute I could shave off that time, but that's only going to happen on a day where I don't feel like I need to pee, which is I doubt that's ever going to happen on a 2-hour bike ride. Maybe in the summer when it's hotter and then you start getting dehydrated and you don't feel like peeing. Anyway, that's it. I will be right back. Out. All right, we are back. Not in the car. Outside. Just finished a really nice run. And for those of y'all that don't live in Texas or in the deep southern south like Florida, a little idea of what it's like here. It's February 2nd or something. And I'm trying to get off this running belt. And February 2nd, and it's like 70 degrees, super humid, because the water's coming off the wind is coming off the Gulf of Mexico, being pulled north, and it's all humid. So I was running with no shirt on, ran about 6 miles, about a 10-minute mile. Really picked up towards the end as energy started flowing pretty good, as the previous meal started digesting. And I had something cool happen. I'm getting in the pool here, just up to my knees, freezing cold because it is winter. It's an unheated pool. And letting my lower legs chill and then cooling me down. Drinking a recovery beer. Here, I'll tell you in a second what it is. It's a Belgian white. Who makes it? Blue Moon? That's pretty nice. And let's see, what was I going to say? Oh, I was running and I had the Airpods Pro in with the noise cancellation and stuff. But I had the noise surrounding sound enhancement on. What I call traffic mode, running in traffic mode. I was jogging along on a trail. It's a concrete path that goes through thick woods. And I'm jogging along and I hear somebody running behind me through my music or I think I was listening to a podcast. And I didn't hear, this is what was crazy, I didn't hear the footsteps slamming into the ground. As the guy passed me, he was really light, small guy. Looked like about 150, 140 pounds, and was running probably like a 8-minute mile, maybe faster. And what I was hearing was the grip of his shoes gripping, the friction of his shoes gripping against the concrete, the rough concrete, pushing him forward. And that's a very light sound, And that was being passed through the headphones to my ears. And man, these things are really great, at least for running. So let's see what else. Oh, I got my Ultra 2.0s. I got the light blue ones, the baby blue, but they're a hard blue. They're a hard baby blue with a gray sole. I really like them. I was about to wear them to work. I put them on and then realized these things are just too bright. I posted a picture of them on Instagram, ZenTriathlon on Instagram, and I happened to be, I threw on my work socks from yesterday to run in. Once you do like really long distance trail running, you learn how to run in socks that probably aren't ideal because they're full of grit and sand and cause blisters. So you can pretty much run in anything. Run in shoes full of broken glass. So cotton socks from yesterday don't really bother me, but they're blue argyle. So they match the shoes. It's actually pretty funny. I didn't realize it until I finished it. That's probably why people were staring at me. And let's see, what else did we do? Oh, so the difference between the 1.5s, that's the previous generation of Ultra Escalantes, in the 2.0 is they firmed up the sole a little bit, which gives you a little bit more arch support, which I like. And then what else did they do? Oh, the uppers are less flexy, because what people find is if you start to roll over your foot keeps going because the upper is so soft. And so these lock you in a little bit more. And they do. I like them. I like them a lot. All right. Time to get going. I got things to do. Be right back. Oh, hello. What are you doing? Come here, sorry. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up the show. I'm going to leave you with some thoughts about things I discovered long ago about training and a couple years ago as training running surfaces and how they can cause injury. So after the fact, I'm trying to figure out why I got all these foot injuries. I figured it out, and what happened was we moved to a new, same neighborhood. We like our town, but a bigger house, and it's a new section of neighborhood. And in the new section of neighborhood, they had changed the way they build the streets. Instead of asphalt, which gives lots of varying surfaces, and you can run, if you run in the middle of the street at night, late in a closed off neighborhood. It's not closed off, but just a neighborhood with streets. If you run in the street on an asphalt street, you can run in the middle of the street, and it's generally kind of flat. The center of the street's flat, and then it curves off the slopes as you go towards the sides. But the asphalt kind of wears in, and it gets little bumps and whatever. But in general, and if it's a quiet neighborhood, you can generally run, like I said, in the middle of the street, especially if you're running at night, early in the morning. Turns out it's a fantastic running surface because the very slight but constant changes in variability keep you from having the other problem, which I'm about to tell you now, which is in this new neighborhood, concrete slab streets. And not just that. So a constant slope. So the middle of the street was a peak. So beginning in the very middle of the street, both sides sloped off. So there wasn't a flat middle. And concrete doesn't warp under pressure over time. It stays rigid, or else it'll crack. And the slope was a hard angle, constant. So you're either running hard slope to the left or hard slope to the right, and nothing in between. And I noticed that when I moved out there. So, but in the neighborhood, they also built concrete sidewalks, which also reminds me, compared to asphalt, concrete is harder. It's debatable about whether that really matters as much, but it does matter a little bit. You can feel it, just a tiny bit. Probably if you run really long distances, it really starts to add up. And so I'm running the sidewalk. Well, what happens is the sidewalk settles in and it slopes more to one side than the other. So if you're running, this section of the neighborhood had long, straight streets, like a grid pattern. And so the sidewalks, turns out, as they settle in, they're not as wide, so they start to tilt to the left or to the right, just a tad, but long distances of severe tilt. And it's almost, go to a neighborhood in a town that has concrete sidewalks that have been there for a while, and you will notice they are tilted, and they're tilted for long distances. So this was causing my running to be on a constant tilted slope, and it was overworking one side of my leg for a while and then to the other. And after a couple years living over there, and plus there was no trees, it was a newer neighborhood, so there was no trees, they were all stripped out and the houses were jammed in together. It was very stressful living there compared to the old neighborhood section of the neighborhood we lived in, which trees had grown in and the streets were asphalt and they were winding and the yards were just a little bit bigger. So it was very relaxing being in the old neighborhood. And the one bit of concrete sidewalk was a trail that goes through the woods, and on purpose they built the sidewalk so it kind of turns left and right, like it kind of meanders a little bit. And I finally convinced Emily a couple years ago, we need to move back to the old neighborhood. This new neighborhood sucked. There was a whole lot more going on where we were, our house backed up to a busy street. Our dogs were constantly barking at people. There was party house going on one street behind us with loud music. And then our house was new. We built our house, and then our neighbor's house popped up, 6 inches from our house, it seemed like. So it was just stressful and not cool. And so we found this other house in our old neighborhood that was bigger than our very first house, like we wanted, and it was a little bit bigger yard, and trees grown in and nice and relaxed, and it was on the asphalt streets. So the reason I bring this up, and I was running this morning, and I'm running in the old neighborhood section like I used to a long time ago when I was a very successful, happy runner. At times running 100 miles per week once for a few weeks. I got up to that training for a long distance ultra marathon. No injuries. And this morning, as my speed picked up towards the end of the run, I found myself running in the middle of the street and using the curves as embankments to turn because I was running that fast. Kind of like banking a little bit. It was just nice. It was so nice. And it made me remember about what actually happened when we moved to the new neighborhood. So it's a warning out there to you people that are great runners. If you run around a neighborhood and you're looking for a new neighbor, if you're moving and your plan is to run around your neighborhood like a lot of people do, pay really close attention to the streets. And if they're concrete slabs on a slope, concrete sidewalks, be careful. Maybe find a different neighborhood. All right, that is it for this podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's see, you can check out ZenTriathlon.com for more episodes, and also I'm on Twitter as ZenTriathlon, on Instagram as ZenTriathlon, and I'm trying to remember if there's something else. Oh yeah, if you like the content of this show and you want to help support the show, you can go to ZenTriathlon.com and look on the sides, and there is a link to PayPal. and you can help support the show one time or a recurring donation. And that's it. How about that? All right. Coming up, future episodes, more training and racing. I think Kai is going to try to beat my time at the Milliken Ranch. My 17 and a half mile loop. I did it in 1:58. He's already angry about that, and he wants to beat it. So I was giving him tips on how to beat my time by telling him, it's broken up into sections as they built the mountain bike course. And I'm like, just take the time. We can look at my Strava, and you can take the time I finished each section, that I finished it, and write that time on your arm or on your stem with permanent marker, stem on paper, permanent marker on paper, and then tape it to your stem if that's what you want. FedEx package won't bleed ink. And just make sure you're ahead of those times by a little bit, just like a minute or so. And once you're ahead, ease back. You don't have anything to prove, except you just want to, all you need to do is beat my time by 1 second, and now you're the champ. Don't escalate it too much. And if it's 2 hours, so if you go too hard early on, you'll blow up, and you should be able to do it. Anyway, that's one way. Like if you were trying to beat the world record 1 hour time on the track, or somebody, you're trying to beat somebody's 1 hour time on the track for an hour, basically you just average how much you need to do each lap. And all you need to do is get ahead by like 10 seconds over time, and then just hold that 10-second lead. That's it. And then that gives you time, like if you need to stop and tie your shoe or something like that, to you won't lose a ton of time. You don't want to go, if something's long, you don't want to go out too hard too early, or else you'll blow up. The whole point is efficiency. All right, that is it. See y'all next episode. I will be right back. All right, that's it. See y'all next episode. Work the uphills, cruise the downhills, and keep the rubber side down. Out.